So let us discuss today about 30th December 2015 newspaper. In this context, most of the articles, almost 3+ articles today, they are talking about free basics and the net neutrality in India. So let us discuss something about this from a different perspective altogether. I made a consolidated notes of all this net neutrality from the governance perspective. So I'm going to divide the argument in these 3 articles into 4 points. One is access, equity, quality, agency, and then market principles. So let us see how these principles, all of them shall work together towards bringing in universalization of the internet access. Now the Facebook's free basics claims that it is for universalization of the access to internet and it can create a new internet revolution in the developing countries. So here, internet till now is a public resource. No one has a complete control over the internet and any person can innovate, and it is acting as a public platform. Now, a new version of the internet that is called free basics, the Facebook wants to develop. It means there will be one public internet, the other will be a private internet, and this private internet will be decided or operated by the free basics. It means that so if it is a website and this free basics, it forms a gatekeeper over here to determine what access has to be provided and whom to be given access to a particular website, or else what the citizen has to watch, that will be decided by the Facebook. It means it is improving the access, but the access is not really universal with regard to the websites are concerned. The universality is being defined from the perspective of the citizens. Universal access to the universal content, that's what is my question is. So the Facebook is only talking about universal access to the internet, but it is not the access to the universal internet or public internet or websites of all its kind. So in this case, I can say the access is in totality is being reduced, or access is increased only to the websites which are being determined by the Facebook. So access to the universal information that is presenting on the website is decreasing, and a Facebook determined a new internet is growing. So it means the internet is more becoming a private resource of few privileged, where Facebook will access our internet behavior and data from us. So in this context, the new issues of the rights are being coming up. The right to privacy, the right over my data, these are the issues which we come up. So coming to the access, what we are talking about, and universal access to the people might be increasing, but however, the actual access of the information is very much limited because the Facebook is acting as a gatekeeper and the access which it is giving is a partial access. And equity of the internet. Now we are going to get 2 kinds of citizens. One has universal access to the information on the web world. The other has only the partial access to the information. So it means it is creating a new kind of a digital divide. If I am affordable, I get the both sides of the viewpoint. If I am not affordable, I need to go with the Facebook's viewpoint, or what the viewpoint determined by the Facebook over here. So it means it is depriving few people of the benefits of the public internet. And second thing is, the data generated by me, the Facebook has the control over it. And Facebook is going to monetize the data and earn the money on it. And the Facebook, it is giving me free internet, or else a partial free internet. And out of it, it is making the billions of rupees, where it will not be paying any taxes in my economy, or where it is not sharing any benefits with me, or outcomes of that proceeds with me. So in this case, on a broader perspective, Across the countries, it is increasing the inequalities. It is taking away the money which is in the form of the data to the developed world. So I can say inequalities across the globe are bound to increase. It means the data inequalities are going to further increase, and this is leading to a data colonialism. Coming to the quality, so till now the experience of the internet is due to innovativeness that has come into this. This innovation is facilitated by the factors, the liberalization of the minds, especially the free access to internet has created, unleashed the freedoms of thinking. But however, any application now being developed or any business or destructive technological business, if it is developed, destructive business means Ola has destructed the traditional cab business, that's what I mean. So any destructive technologies, if they are being developed, these are called disruptive, not destructive, disruptive technologies if they are being developed. So the Facebook's permission is necessary to get them taken or to make them move forward. So any innovation needs the acceptance of the Facebook. So in this case, traditionally the innovation happened on the websites or on the use of the public internet platforms is going to be reduced. So it means the quality of experience based on the innovation is going to come down in the future. And agency, it can be said as this, where the locus of decision making ability lies. So in the public internet, the what to watch, how to watch is the decision lies with the citizen. Now in the free basics, the decision lies with the Facebook. It means the decision on the internet is shifting more towards a foreign company. So it means agency of the people is decreasing. So the decision making ability of the people is shifting away towards the Facebook. So finally, the market principles, if you see. So the competition is a factor that has to drive the markets. The Facebook intentions, if you observe, they are clearly monopolistic in nature. What the Facebook believes is, it shall have the control over the internet to control the data, to control the market, etc. It means the very intentions are monopolistic. And the second thing is, access to the internet, how it has increased across the developed countries. For example, Sweden has 100% access to internet. It is through competition. It is not through subsidization. Competition has led to the decrease in the cost of data and the increased affordability of the people to buy this data. These are the two things that have led to the universalization of the internet. If you take the increase in teledensity in India, it is due to new innovations that have come up in the telecommunications sector, especially the business innovations. And also the cost of the connections have drastically reduced. That made the universality of the telecom services. We can apply the similar model even for the so-called as internet. So the market principles or market has to be governed by the competition, which has to drive the affordability by reduction in the cost of the services. On the other hand, if it is by the subsidization of a market agent such as Facebook, subsidization by the market such as Facebook, it will never lead to universality. The market never has a concern for the universalization of the service. If the Facebook is coming with such a concern, means there is something at the back. Because the markets are inherently profit motivated. So in this context, the subsidization of the market itself is a false agenda. So that is what is this exactly this article argues about. So in India, if the universalization of the internet has to come up, it has to come up through market competition, not through market subsidization. Remember, in this 21st century, the new wealth is data. Who has the access to data, who has the control over the data, he is the new king. So that is been proven by this free basics. So this is what is the article is all about. These are the two articles. And next is higher education. Now, GATS, General Agreement of Trade in Services. it talks about education also as a service. So in the GATS, the education becomes a tradable commodity across the countries. It means the foreign universities can come to India, Indian universities can go to the foreign countries. So when education becomes a tradable commodity, there has to be a level playing field between the foreign universities and native universities. So if foreign universities comes to India, then we have to provide a level playing field for them with the governmental universities too. So in this context, how the access to education will get affected? Now, the government is providing for the subsidies. In the name of level playing field, these subsidies, reservations and other social justice concerns will be done away with. It means the access of education to the marginalized is expected to decrease rather than to increase. Total access to the education might increase. How its access to the deprived people is increasing is a question over here. So in this context, access to this deprived is bound to decrease. And is the quality assured? And even quality cannot be assured because there is no guarantee that the top-notch universities will come to the country. And third thing is the concerns of sovereignty. Now, either to provide for the subsidies to the education or give a level playing field for the different social castes or else different social divides in the country is no more the decisions of the government. It will be influenced by our agreements with the World Trade Organization. So in this case, the concerns of the sovereignty, because no more our judiciary will decide on the social justice concerns, it is going to be more and more by our agreement with the other nations at the GATS. So, brain drain may get worsened because these people who are trained, they are trained for the needs of the global industry, not for the needs of the Indian economy alone. So in this context, more people may shift out to the countries where the aging population is high. So already Europe and American population is more onto the aging side. We have an young population. So this particular shift is going to be high in the future. That's what this article argues. And next is International North-South Transport Corridor. Now, it is proposed by India, Iran and Russia to get access to the Central Asian economies. Now in this context, the existing route is this dark line. We have to go to this Horn of Africa from there over here, and finally we have to reach over here. Instead of this, from Mumbai, we are going to Bandar Abbas in Iran. From there, through Azerbaijan, we are finally reaching to the St. Petersburg in Russia. So it means it is going to be more viable because the time of travel is going to come down. It is 40% shorter and 30% cheaper. But it is not being fulfilled. The reason is the banking sector has to be developed. The logistic supports have to be developed. We have to build the ports and logistic stations over there. That is warehouses, etc. And also insurance. And finally, proper documentation or seamless documentation has to be provided for. Failure to provide this important corridor is being neglected. So for us, we have to more and more depend upon the India-Pakistan, this particular route over here. So it increases our access to the Central Asian economies and also towards the Europe. It provides the alternate route to us. The next is about the banking sector reforms that have occurred with regard to the 2015. It can be a beautiful question for this year, and in your prelims one or the other is expected. So in this case, you know the Nayak committee recommendations. After the Nayak committee recommendations, the Indradhanush was launched. As per this Indradhanush, the bureau or bank board bureau will be constituted. It will take the decisions with regard to the important appointments. The positions of chairman plus managing directors are separated. So, and even the CEOs of the public sector banks now can be from the private sector. All these are the important changes with regard to the banking or management of the public sector undertakings. and new banks are being issued which can reach their or widen their reach. So the new two universal banks, that is IDFC and Bandhan Bank, you know, the special banks such as Payments Bank. So they will be generally collecting the money or providing for remittance services, or they will be acting as the small service providers related to the mutual funds, etc. So majorly insurance and mutual funds. And after that, small finance banks. So the small finance banks, they are involved with giving small loans to the people, and they are going to cover hitherto uncovered areas of banking. It means the microfinance institutions like small finance banks are going to come up. And the three important steps I'm going to talk about are strategic debt restructuring. It means previously, if a bank or else if a private company is a defaulter, the government did not, the banks did not have authority to take the stakeholding in that company. Now, in the restructuring, the banks can take up more than 50% of the total shareholding of the company. So, under this, joint lenders forum will be formed, and this joint lenders forum will decide how the equity has to be transferred across the banks. Now the management control will be taken away from the promoters. Now the promoters will have greater incentive to repay their debts to the banks. This is what is called strategic debt restructuring. It is strategic because greater than 50% is taken up by these lenders. And then the bankruptcy code. Yesterday I have discussed over this. So under the bankruptcy code, the government's our total bankruptcy system is also becoming very much simplified, and the banks or the lenders will have a say either towards the restructuring of the companies or towards the liquidation of the companies, and the first proceeds after the liquidation goes to these lenders. In that way, the banking sector's assets are being protected. And after that, inflation targeting. So the government will give a target of inflation that has to be maintained to the RBI, and RBI has to make sure with its monetary policy that inflation do not cross this set target. And finally, marginal cost lending rate. If you can remember Raghuram Rajan's multiple times he said one thing: the reduction in repo rate is not being transferred by the banks to the customers. So to change this situation, this marginal cost lending rate has come up, MCLR. According to this, the interest rates of the banks, or the lending rates of the banks, they will be now decided based on the cost of their funds. The cost of their funds means at what cost they are accepting the deposits, and at what cost they are getting the money from the RBI. So their borrowing cost from the RBI and their deposit rate from the people, these together are going to determine the lending rate. It means whenever the repo rate is decreased, the benefits will be directly transferred to the customers. These are the changes that have occurred. In this prelims, there will be one question on this particular area. And next is Pakistan and India's bonhomie, the Prime Minister's visit to Lahore. So the new hopes are being coming up in this area. What are these new hopes? On the commerce front, if you observe carefully, in the globalized world, the strategic relations are in fact strengthened through the economic relationships. So India and Pakistan's commerce relationships have to be strengthened in this context. So here I want to touch to you what are the issues related to these countries on the front of the commerce. The first is majorly related to MFN status. The Pakistan did not give the MFN status even today to India. And there is a huge negative list which consists of more than 1200 items on the tradable list from the Pakistan. It means these 1209 items, the Pakistan will not allow the Indian imports. And the banking facilities are not being developed, and the banking has to be routed through certain other international banks. And there is no proper dispute resolution mechanism between these countries. And whenever the political vagaries have come up, it is going to impact the commercial relationships. So the predictability in the trade relationships is missing between India and Pakistan. So the existing stable political order has to transform into a better business to the country. It will stabilize the strategic relations in the long run. So this is about today's newspaper. And thank you very much. All the best.